The summer when I was 25, a friend of mine was renting a cottage in Rome and said to come and visit him if I wanted to. And I was dirt broke, but I knew that these opportunities didn't always come up, so I scraped together the money and I went. Now, I don't know if anyone has ever been to Rome before, but in my humble opinion, they are doing everything right. The food, the people, the lifestyle. I was like eating tomatoes that taste like tomatoes, you know what I mean? Like espresso, that's the only espresso. And lunch for these people, the Romans, is like, you know, it's mom, it's dad, it's brothers and sisters, and grandmas and grandpas and bambinos, and there's carafes of wine on the table, and everyone's beautiful, and the fucking thing lasts for 3 hours, because why would you eat a salad at your desk? You know, and I'm walking on these beautiful cobblestone streets past the Colosseum and the Parthenon, the ancient wonders of the world, and I'm very taken by Rome. Even though I'm dirt broke, I decided to take myself to a fancy day spa. I figured it's like the modern day equivalent of a Roman bath. So I go on a Tuesday, no one's there, but I get like the face mask, the massage, the steam room, the works. And I'm in the locker room getting ready to shower to leave, and I'm just wearing a towel, and I spy the only other person who's there. It's a very handsome Italian guy, and he's kind of looking at me. And my theme for the trip was when in Rome. You know, just like, you know, just do the thing you want to do. So I see him looking at me, and I'm like, when in Rome. So I go over to him, and I don't speak Italian, but I was like, do you know what time it is? Like an asshole American. And he's like, so I point at my wrist, and he's like, ah. And he shows me his watch, and I say, thank you, I'm Will. And I shake his hand. And I go in the shower, I get changed, I get ready to pay, I go to the receptionist, it's so expensive. And the lady says, oh, Tiziano left you his card. And so she hands me a card that says, Dear Will, if you have need to anything here in Rome, call me quickly. So I call him. I'm like, when in Rome, why not? So I call him, and you know, it's a very awkward phone call. We don't speak the same language, but we figure out like a place to meet, and the very next afternoon, we're going on a date. We meet at this beautiful piazza, and he shows up in a Maserati. And yeah, I had never actually seen a Maserati before, but he gets out, he gives me 2 kisses on the cheek, and we get in this car, and we're like driving, and I'm like, where the hell am I? When in Rome? And we go to this, he pulls up in front of this really fancy, ornate hotel, and these guys in little uniforms come out and open up the doors, and he tosses the keys, and he says, my uncle owns this hotel. And I'm like, okay, so we're in the elevator going up to the rooftop bar, and I've somehow like slipped into the world of the Italian 1%, you know what I mean? And I don't glorify money or material things, but like a week ago I was eating dollar dumplings in Chinatown, just to like put it into perspective. So we're having like a cocktail in the fading Roman sunlight, and we're spending the next 20 minutes trying to ask each other the question, do you have any siblings? We get back in the car, and he drives me just outside town to this like huge ancient stone wall with a huge ancient wooden door, and we get out, and he walks over to the door, which is locked, but he kneels down and looks through the keyhole, and he motions for me to do the same. So I get down on a knee, and I look through the keyhole, and on the other side of the door, straight forward, is a pathway that goes through like a tunnel of trees that have been like perfectly manicured and landscaped to form like a tunnel, like a tube. And all the way at the end of this tube, perfectly framed, is the dome of St. Peter's in Vatican City. And as I'm looking at that dome, I'm thinking to myself, he's getting laid tonight. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not someone to get swept off my feet, but I'm like, he's doing everything right, unless he fucks it up. But how would he? I don't speak the same language, you know what I mean? So I get back in the car, you know, we go to this fancy restaurant. He orders a bottle of wine that costs more than my fucking plane ticket, and we spend the whole pasta course talking about, do you like dogs? And by the end of the meal, which he's paying, he somehow cobbles together enough words in English to say, I have more wine at home. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure, when in Rome. So I go back to his apartment, which is fancy as fuck, but at that point, opulence is just the new normal for me. And we take off our clothes, and I want to tell you it was great, but it was fine. It was fine. You know what I mean? And I'm from New York, so when I say fine, I mean fine. Like, I went to dinner with some Midwesterners, and they were like, how is it? I'm like, it's fine. And they're like, oh, well, where we're from, that means bad. I'm like, no, it's fine. Would I order it again? Not necessarily. Would I send it back? That's just rude. It's a waste. It was fine. The sex was fine. So I go back to New York a few days later, and he sends me a note saying, I hope to be in New York soon. I'd love to see you. And I say, you let me know. And about a year and a half later, he finally makes it. And he's in town because he's going to be buying maybe a hotel in Soho like you do. And I'm like, okay, and it's his birthday, so I was like, let me take you out. I took him to diner in Williamsburg, give him the full fucking hipster experience. And I had just started dating someone, but I didn't tell that guy that I was going on a date with him, and I was like, it doesn't really matter. So we have a lovely meal, and at the end of the meal, Tiziano says, come back to my hotel. And if I had said yes, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe we would have had sex, maybe it would have been better than fine. Maybe I would take him up on his offer to go to Venice and take his yacht to Croatia where he buys all this man's fucking wine. Okay. Maybe we would have started a relationship, but my mom did not raise a cheater, so I said, I can't, I'm sorry, maybe some other time. I give him 2 kisses on the cheek and go back to the guy that I was dating, and it pains me to say this, but that guy turned out to be an asshole, and like a few months later we break up, and I thought about calling Tiziano, I thought about it. But would I just be calling because I wanted to be a kept boy? That's totally not who I am. Okay. And now I'm married to like an amazing guy, like the fucking dream of like a partner, but a few weeks ago when I found an old business card, I did stop and wonder. Thank you.